Great, thanks, Ashika. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all the work you put in. I'm Craig Turner with President of World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara. We appreciate your participating in this competition this year. Thanks for putting everything together with us in this virtual environment for the first time. I'm going to keep my comments very short. I'm going to turn it over to Ashika, who's our director, Ashika Ambu, who's our director of communications. You've been getting emails from her. She's just going to give you the rundown for what to expect the next half hour. Then we're going to have the judges give a quick introduction, and then you're all on. So Ashika, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So in terms of rules and logistics for what we're going to be doing today, right before you guys start, we're gonna ourselves and the judges will have our videos up, so make sure you keep your videos on during your presentation. And then have you designated someone to run the PowerPoint from your end, or would you like us to do that?
We can do it.
Okay, so you'll start your share screen, and then once we see that, that's when your time will start. If you want, we can give you a 1 minute or 5 minute warning for when your time is up. Just let me know. What I'll do is I'll flash my camera on and show a little envelope so you know when you're at that, when you're getting close to the end of your time.
Sure.
And then once you're done presenting, when your 10 minutes are up, the judges' videos will come back on and they will pose their questions to you. All right, any questions before we get started? Nope.
I think we're good.
Thanks, Ashika. Okay, each of the judges, if you just want to give your, just introduce yourself and where organization you represent.
I'm Lynn Oswald. I'm the director of the Small Business Development Center, covering the Niagara region, and we work extensively with exporters.
Linda, you want to go?
I'm Linda Soltis with the Canadian Consul General in New York. I'm a trade commissioner, and I help Canadian companies export and do business in the United States.
Good morning, I'm David Morales. I work for Liberty Pumps. I do an international business development for Liberty Pumps, and I handle Latin America, the Caribbean, Australia, New Zealand, and Spain.
Thanks, everyone. So, Brock team, you guys are free to go.
Did you guys have a preference if you wanted a 1 minute warning or a 5 minute warning? For a different.
Preferably, if we had choice over one or the other, 1 minute
or
warning.
if there's any specific time, but you only get one warning, but it's your choice what you want that time to be.
Let's do a 1 minute warning.
1 minute. Okay.
Okay, can you guys share or see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let me just put it into presentation mode. Okay.
Okay, your time is starting.
Picture this. You're a small steel manufacturer located in the heart of Buffalo, with aspirations to one day be a global player. However, you do not have the connections nor the resources for those connections to establish yourself amongst the global players. However, with the World Link, that's exactly what we're here to solve. Taking your local business and turning it global. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Quinn McGill, and on behalf of Lighthouse Consulting, I have my colleagues with me here today, Ashley Harold, Angela Pereira, and Bill Hyun. And today we bring you the World Link, our new portal that will be developed for World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara members and eventually World Trade Center locations around the world to necessarily connect all these businesses and help them foster growth to turn from local to global. Now, before we get into a little bit more of what the World Link is, you've asked us to analyze and see what kind of barriers will be taken into consideration when fostering growth. And out of all the narrowed down focuses, as we see on the next slide, we've chose businesses becoming more platform-based as the biggest factor affecting growth in the future years. Businesses are now looking towards connecting one to the other and essentially being that middle person that allows growth on both sides. and essentially helping to fulfill both sides' needs. And that's exactly the direction that we want to take the World Link, allowing all players and all members within the network here at the World Trade Center to benefit mutually. So to touch on a little bit more on what the World Link encompasses, I'd love to invite my colleague, Ashley Harold, to give you a little bit more of a deeper dive on what that looks like.
Thanks so much, Sequinder. So before I get into the benefits of WorldLink and why it's such a great platform that needs to be integrated in the World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara, let me explain what it is a little bit more before we move forward. So essentially what it is it's this new information delivery system, and it connects our buyers and sellers within our member network. So it facilitates trade across members is essentially what it does. Going back to the example that my colleague had mentioned at the beginning with our steel company, for example, they might need an oil supplier. And so they want to look at an international market, but they don't know where to go. They don't have an existing network. They are a medium-sized business. What they're going to do is they're going to see the offer that World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara is offering, and they're going to want to join this network. In this network, they will then have access to all of the other members that are selling exactly what they need. And with that user-friendly interface and streamlined communication, they'll be able to make trade deals very easily and quickly. So essentially what it's doing is it's connecting all of our stakeholders, not only within Buffalo Niagara region, but on a global scale once the World Link has been rolled out to all of the other World Trade Center organizations, which would then ultimately foster those international relationships, even post-pandemic, because we realize that although we're all relying on digital right now, once we are out of this pandemic, the digital's still not going away. Back in our new normal that will be coming soon, hopefully, we'll still be using that digital world a lot more than we did before the pandemic as well. So it's important that the World Trade Center of Buffalo Niagara is ready for that. So what can the World Link bring World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara? What are some of the benefits? Well, it leverages the network that's already existing. The Buffalo Niagara region of the World Trade Center has a great pre-established network. We've ran the figures and we can see that there is a great network that is already here of loyal members. Now, we need to leverage on this because it's a great opportunity. What we're doing is connecting these members on a new level like never before in order to facilitate some connections and help the success of their business ultimately, because that is what you all are here to do to help support them. So it also creates that point of differentiation when we're talking about new and existing memberships. It gives members a reason to stay and to join. So not only does it help retain existing members because of this unique networking opportunity, it also will attract new ones who are looking to make those connections in terms of the buying and selling market. It also provides that additional value, as I had mentioned, to the members because it then allows them to compare prices and make these connections in a very easy and streamlined process that is only available to the World Trade Center members of Buffalo Niagara region, which creates that exclusivity, which in turn, as we all know, when something's exclusive, the demand for it rises. So we're very excited to introduce this to you. And as I turn it to my colleague, Bill, I would just like to remind you that this platform allows us to go from local to global. So Bill, why don't you walk us through what this platform might look like?
Of course, thank you so much, Ashley. To first off, reiterate the importance and the focus of World Link, I want to bring your attention to this quote. In the 21st century, the supply chain is no longer the central aggregator of business value. What a company owns matters less than what it can connect. And that's exactly what the World Trade Center of Buffalo Niagara embodies by providing consulting and other resources to its 64 members. If you think about the big companies like Google, like Facebook, like PayPal, like Airbnb, what do they have in common? They are a platform-based business. They provide an interface that facilitates exchange between its members. And that's exactly what World Link is going to be providing for us. And we're going to be asking the question, are you ready to find success beyond domestic markets? Because we are, and the World Trade Center of Buffalo Niagara are as well. So taken to the example of the steel manufacturing, through this domain and through this portal, they're going to have a lot of features that they're going to access to really improve their experience. So through the members tab, they can go through the directory, filter through and look through perhaps through buyers and sellers. And look, perhaps they're looking for that oil and gas, they can filter that and really narrow it down and have a portal that's really going to give that access to them. as well as an events tab. If there's perhaps a networking event coming up, or perhaps even the TAP Accelerate program that the World Trade Center is known for that's coming up, they can go to that events tab and have that easy access on that one platform, as well as the messages tab. The COVID pandemic has really stripped the ability to communicate and really meet in person. That's the factor that we all know and to love. And having this messages and social platform gives the businesses the opportunity and focus to really interconnect and have a platform to really connect. And I know that, so now that we've talked about the information delivery system, one of the asks were also to implement a pricing program, which is what my colleague Angela will actually be going through.
Thanks so much, Bill. So as you all know, an idea is only worth it if somebody is willing to pay for it. And so that's why we found it to be crucial to pair WorldLink with a variety of other revenue streams that can be generated for the World Trade Center. So let's take a look at our current revenue stream. The bulk of it comes entirely from membership costs and membership fees. However, there's a main problem with that. It crowds out smaller businesses. For instance, a business may not be willing to pay $1,000 per year for a bunch of services that they may not need or want. However, they may need the World Trade Center's expertise in marketing, consulting, and data analytics. So by selling programs and fees-based services that are attractive to our members, we can cover our costs and increase revenues. So in essence, consumers will only pay for what they need and receive a package tailored to their unique needs. For instance, that steel company may be wondering about what the markets hold outside of the Niagara region. And for that, they can purchase a report based between the prices of $100 to $300 in the very fast-growing data analytics realm that will allow them to be better suited and better situated for moving into the next stage. We'll also move on to taking a look at what our current financials look like. So as you know, the bulk of our current revenue, based on the member directory of 64 members, is comprised of just members. So the revenue at the moment is just over $100,000. But by adding these programs and services that are attractive to members, we can not only bring in new clients, but also potentially upsell them to becoming members as they become more and more familiar with our products. And as you can see, that will increase our revenue to approximately $127,000 as we leverage these fast-growing industries such as data analytics. So just to reiterate, our focus is to align our mission with that of the consumers. So to help companies find success beyond their domestic needs and to bring local to global. So now that we've taken a look at the financials, I'd like to invite my colleague Sequinder to conclude.
Thank you so much, Angelo. And just to reiterate, what we're doing here today with the WorldLink is creating value for all of our members. We're being sustainable for the long run with a new cafeteria's pricing model and also new added membership value. And with the WorldLink, we've addressed the problem, we've come up with a platform, and we've figured out the pricing. Now that we've figured out exactly how we can go about doing this, I would love to answer any questions that you may have for us.
Did you look at what it would cost to start such a platform and the staffing needed to maintain and run it?
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks so much. So we'll move to our final appendix slide that has provided us an in-depth breakdown of the current budget for this project. So as you know, the World Trade Center is already integrated fairly well online. And so we felt it to be necessary to develop this platform on top of the World Trade Center's current website, making it exclusive for members. So as you know, with the World Trade Center's revenue currently just over $100,000, we didn't want to spend more than 15% on the total project itself. So as you can see, the project will have a one-time cost of $5,000 to get the platform up and running. However, the key important thing to take a look at is the maintenance, which we figured would be around $600 a month. And of course, those costs will increase as this business scales and as we get new members. We've also allocated $2,000 to research and development. As you know, this platform can't be effective if information is outdated, and that's why it's crucial that we spend this money to not only update our information, but to give our customers the best possible info to make their business decisions.
I have a question. In the case statement, the bulk of the Buffalo Niagara World Trade Center income is actually from sponsorships, program sponsorships, and not necessarily memberships. And I understand that your model is membership and fee-based. Did you take into account the sponsorship aspect?
I can take that question. So if we go back to our presentation here and we take a look at the cafeteria-based pricing model that we have established, we are taking into consideration the sponsorship aspect. So with our current platform of the WorldLink, that addresses our membership, increasing our membership value. But then also when looking towards having more of a sustainable sponsorship value, we look towards this cafeteria style membership plan. So not only is this only tailored towards the WorldLink and our membership fees, but also allowing people who want to sponsor getting in on very certain aspects of it. Given that we are also aware that people who do have membership do get those sponsorship benefits, we see that with these sponsorships in a cafeteria style, they can get in on those key benefits that, say, for example, are in the Alliance package. And they can just pay for that one-time necessarily sponsorship benefit that they can get that they necessarily wouldn't have been able to had they had to pay that $10,000 fee or that entry-level fee for, say, for example, an Alliance membership. So with this cafeteria style membership plan, not only does this help with establishing more memberships, but then also more opportunities for sponsorships as well.
So if I find a trading partner through this platform, I may not also need side services like a freight forwarder or legal assistance. Would service providers be able to pay to have their services promoted on the platform?
That's a really great point that you bring up, which also relates to the previous question. So with that, being able to advertise their services on our platform also ties into the sponsorship. So WorldLink also opens a brand new door for sponsorships as well as our members. So like my partner was saying, that we want to be flexible. So that's why we're having that cafeteria style membership and pricing option, which could be translated into our sponsors, meaning they can sponsor where they would like, when they would like, how they would like, and that way we would still get their income without the additional services that may deter them. So in terms of advertising, like the legal fees and other things that need to go into that international buying and selling, that's another avenue that is definitely going to help support that sponsorship revenue, because it is, like the previous judge had mentioned, our #1 income from sponsorship. So WorldLink allows us to capitalize on that opportunity and provide more opportunity for firms such as the legal firms that may not have wanted to advertise with us before. They might want to now because their services are needed on our platform where they previously weren't before.
Thank you.
I have two questions for you guys. Well, first of all, good presentation. Congrats on everybody. Did a great job. So in the future, how you guys see these? These could be like a temporary solution, long-term solution. How you guys see these long-term, the next few years, once hopefully things go back to like somewhat normalcy? And two, what kind of other competitions you guys see in the market? That model I've seen in other companies. The U.S. Commercial Services kind of shows or offers something like that. How do you guys makes you guys different than other organizations that are doing these not only in Buffalo but around the world?
That's a great question. So to answer the first part of it, we want to take a look at what our future growth strategy is. So as you know, right now, the world, COVID-19 has made the world digitized faster. So as we can see, by taking on this system and creating this platform, it leads us through growth through the pandemic and beyond. This isn't a platform that's going to stop. We can turn a disadvantage from COVID-19 into an advantage by leveraging technology. Consumers across the world that weren't able to connect previously will now be able to do so in a very easy way because of this platform. And that's what makes this platform such an incredible idea for the World Trade Center right now through the pandemic and beyond. Moving on to the second stage of the question, you've talked a little bit about some competition and what that's looked like between other players. But the World Trade Center has a few core advantages over some of those other players. And that's the fact that they have such an extensive network that these other players just don't have. We've seen that the World Trade Center is affiliated with other trade centers across the world that will enable businesses to get connected with those expertise as they need it. Also, there is another advantage with the World Trade Center, and that's its pricing as well. So as you know, it's a non-for-profit business. So because of that, we're not trying to pump out as many profits as possible and jack up our prices to increase that bottom line. So instead, we can pass those savings on to the consumers. So what we essentially have is a product that is more competitively priced, along with a product that is better situated as you are involved with a much larger network than your competitors.
Great, well said.
Further address your question, I would love to do a little walkthrough if that's okay. If you want to go to the next slide. So WorldLink. So like I mentioned, it's a platform where there's going to be a lot of connectivity, and we do understand there is competition. However, utilizing the World Trade Center's network and the connections is our main strength. So if you want to perhaps say we're looking for, so we click the members directory, we go through the, and we're looking for industrial equipment specifically. So here it filters out the companies as well as the opportunity to connect. So having their emails, having their titles, and it really gives you that idea of who you're connecting with and what that company does. Say I want to look at Hebler Corporation. So I click on Hebler Corporation. Through this platform, it gives me information to who to contact, where they're located, their profile. So it's giving me the option to visit their website, visit their LinkedIn, visit their Facebook, and all in one platform that's really going to give users and companies the platform to really utilize and really focus on one thing specifically. So to link together, the whole idea of WorldLink is linking everybody together for that, to bring from local to global. And say I want to link with Hebler Corporation and I want to message them. So I click link and I have the option and the ability to send a message to them. And through the message platform, it really gives you that opportunity to connect, because like I said, COVID has taken that away from us, and giving that platform to connect really enhances the ability and the community feeling of the World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara.
In the service world, when David mentions things like the Department of Commerce or Global New York, we don't view each other as competition, but actually partners. So we do try to avoid duplication of services. And I'd like to know how the and the beauty of what Craig does is he helps these people leverage all the partners that are out there. So how would the platform help people leverage all the other resources they can tap into?
So because our service here at World Trade Center is so unique, we aren't worried about impeding on our community partners' businesses. So when we mean competition per se, it's just, our industry competitors. Sorry, I just said competitors again, our industry partners. So the way that we're going to make sure that we are not impeding on the similar services is through our exclusivity and differentiation strategy based off of what this WorldLink is going to offer, because of how different it is from what is available in the market in our competitors, because of the access to that exclusive network and the messaging feature and everything else that is in this website. We aren't too concerned about the fact that it might impede on our competitors, and it will actually end up being a mutually beneficial relationship, because we can then partner with our local community partners to make our service and their service better, ultimately to help serve our members, which is both of our goals, obviously.
Thank you.
Pay time. All right, thank you guys. That was a great presentation. I don't know if Craig, you want to give any final remarks? If not, we will be announcing our finalists at or by 12:30 at the very latest by email. And then either way, I hope you'll stick around to watch the final round at 2 o'clock and our keynote presentation. Our final round at 1 and keynote at 2.
Great job, everyone.
Yes, great job.
We'll see you
Great
later
job. Well
today.
done.
We'll get started with the introduction. So good morning, everyone. I'm Craig Turner. I'm the president of World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara. Thanks for participating with us in the competition this year, our 3rd annual competition, but our first virtual competition. So we feel pretty good that the logistics are going well. So thank you for your work in helping us put this on. I'm going to turn over to Ashika Ambu, who's our director of communications. You've probably been getting emails from her, and she's going to kind of walk through what to expect for the next 20-25 minutes.
All right, so as you guys know, you have 10 minutes to pitch. So once your presentation is up and you begin speaking, that is when your 10 minutes begins. And then I'm going to ask you if you want a 1 minute, 5 minute, or other time increment warning before your 10 minutes is up. I don't know if you guys have a preference. I'll give you a few seconds to think about it, but whatever that time is, I'll flash this little yellow envelope so you know when you're approaching that time. And then once you reach your 10 minutes, I'll come back on and note time. So when you guys are presenting, only your videos will be on. So ours and the judges' videos will be off. Except for when I come on during that little warning time to show my little yellow envelope to you guys. And then when you're done presenting, the judges will have 10 minutes to ask you guys questions. And that's it.
Yeah,
We want to take just a minute here, and each of the judges, if you just want to introduce yourself and your organization, and then we'll turn it over to the team.
Hi, I'm Lauren Skellinger. I work in international trade finance at M&T Bank. I'm looking forward to seeing your presentation today. It's an interesting topic, and I hope you guys enjoyed working on it.
Hi, I'm Crystal Eden. I'm engagement manager for the World Trade Centers Association, global organization of World Trade Centers. Looking forward to today.
Hello, I'm Rob Clark. I'm the Director of Commodities and Global Procurement at Rich Products in Buffalo, New York. Pleasure to meet all you. Good luck today.
Thanks again, and we'll let you all take it away.
Okay. Let's see, present. Can everyone see that all right? We good? Yes, I can see it. Okay. That'll be good. Okay, so I think we're ready to start. My name is Mariana. I am a major in international business and marketing.
My name is Alexandra, and I am a major in accounting and Spanish.
Hi, my name is Francesca, and I'm a major in international relations and political science.
Okay, and so we're from Canisius College here to present on the World Trade Center case competition this year. So to start, we were asked to make a list of issues that were impacting international businesses today, both firms, consumers, and everyone in between. So the first changes that have been happening are changes in the environment. We are seeing some effects on international trade because of government intervention. So lockdowns, new protocols that are put in place that have disrupted different aspects of the business world. Volume of global trade has gone down by 17.7% since last year. So that's impacted the biggest economies in the world the most. We also have a general trend in consumer behavior that is now focused on the digital commerce. People are embracing digital commerce and focusing on their most basic needs because of the lack of discretionary income. And overall, there's just instability and uncertainty in the economy. People are not investing. There is unemployment rates that are skyrocketing, and we see some shortages in supply needed around the world. Here are some more challenges based specifically for businesses. You can see the two biggest ones are disrupted logistics and disrupted supply chains. All of this is things that the World Trade Center and their customers are facing today. Here we have some more data on exports and some more data on online behavior directly linked to COVID-19. However, the biggest issue is going virtual, because different companies think that it's impractical to make those changes, or sometimes impossible, depending on what they're providing to customers. However, in the case of the World Trade Center, we think that going virtual is the best solution. Alexandra here is going to walk us through it.
Thank you, Mariana. Now, I'm sure some of you are having concerns or worries about the idea of going completely virtual. You're probably thinking that you won't be able to interact with your clientele as well, that you won't be able to provide as many services or goods that you did before. However, that's just not true. There are not only many advantages that go along with being virtual, but there's also many other issues that arise with not being virtual. The big issue today is going virtual. Does it have advantages? Yes, it does. You have efficiency, productivity, security, customer, agility. The rise of the digital economy has been approaching for a very long time, and the COVID-19 pandemic has simply sped it up. If a business wishes to not only survive but thrive in today's economy, they must be 100% virtual. And the virtual business model that we have presented for you today attacks not only your website, but also other issues as well, such as with this website, with a brand new website that is tailored to touch everyone's needs, not just your customers, but your employees as well. It'll have better flow of communication than you do currently. You can have networking events that will not only bring in more clientele as well as revenue, but will also expand your organization to the rest of the country. By growing your virtual communication through social media as well, not just through the website, you'll be able to bring in new customers worldwide. You can have web seminars that are used by not just people in the Buffalo, Niagara area, but all across the world and all across the country. And you can have virtual memberships, so you're bringing in the revenue and also providing the events that you did before. This graph shows that there is a huge increase in the number of social media platform users since 2018. By going online and by using websites and social media platforms, you'll be broadening your customers. You'll have people from outside of Buffalo that will not only be able to show interest in your organization, but also attend events that they previously couldn't. Different groups and companies will also be able to communicate with you and take interest in the World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara. You'll have more interstate clients as well as international clients. And people are driven by money. So the fact that they won't have to spend anything on travel expenses will make them want to join your virtual events even more. And I'll turn it over to Francesca, who will talk about the different virtual memberships that you guys can offer.
Thank you, Alexandra. We have multiple pricing options that we can pick from. We can increase prices, maintain prices, and lower prices. And then we have membership levels from a basic, a pro, and a platinum. Each level is more expensive the more it includes. The best mechanism we think that should be used is lowering prices. We think this mechanism should be used because it would attract more clientele due to the fact that we are going on such a larger platform. More clientele would see these competing prices and be attracted to come to us. And because it will be available to a larger amount of people, we would end up gaining that money back from lowering prices and then a lot more. Some future benefits we see are showing clients that we give the best product at the best price, which attracts more of them, and allows them to tell their friends or their peers, this company has the best prices. A steady flow of customers because they would see this company maintains lower prices. And an increase in business opportunity due to the lower prices and the expanded networking platform. We would have a lot more of a broad clientele. And lower prices are good to express in marketing. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Do we stop the share or?
We'll keep the share, but judges, if you want to turn your videos back on and start asking any questions that you may have.
Great job, ladies. Thank you for this presentation. I had one question about whether you had looked into any other entities, competitors who are providing this sort of online seminar today.
So because of COVID, we are seeing a lot of increases in web seminars. So everything from, career fairs, international seminars, educational seminars, things that colleges, for example, are providing, things like this, like competitions, are all online. So basically everyone is a competitor nowadays. Any educational forums, anyone that's, trying to get things out there, they're doing it online. So even though it's a lot more competition, it's really the only viable way to do things these days. So the best way to, get an advantage is to start quickly, to start doing things online so that you can get ahead of the competition, because there are still a lot of people who don't really know how to work, Zoom, people who don't really know how to get, international people involved with different time zone issues, things like that. So that's why we think it's still the best option, even though there's an increase in competition.
And were you able to benchmark those at all as you were thinking about the proposed pricing that you guys included?
Yes. So like Francesca said, lowering prices will mean that people are, attracted to us. Obviously, there are still a lot of people providing free services. But like Francesca said, there are different tiers that you could use. So people pay for what they need.
Great, thank you.
I'm sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my video is not coming back on for some reason. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Ashika. Just a question on the proposal from the beginning in terms of going virtual as the idea. In your discussion of that, did you or could you point to what might be the biggest challenge for the World Trade Center of Buffalo Niagara to adopting that model?
So the biggest challenge would be, Alex, would you like to talk?
Oh, no, you're all good.
Okay. So the biggest challenge is, like it was stated in the case description, is that right now management isn't very familiar with going online completely, providing maybe consultation services, educational services online, because up until this point, everyone's been doing it in person, and that's how things have been working and how things have been profitable. So I think the biggest challenge is being able to get management on board and getting them familiar so that they can educate their customer base. I don't think that customers themselves, like different companies, have already, probably dipped their toe in virtual, workspaces because they have to. So it's just a question of, can you organize yourselves quickly enough and accessibly enough to other people.
Thank you. Sorry, I should have started with this. You guys did a great job, by the way. And
thank you.
Commend you on the work you did there.
Yeah, great job. My only question, I guess, is going back to kind of the pricing model and thinking through kind of going back to the saturation of how many webinars are out there right now, free webinars in particular. So can you talk me through a bit more of kind of what would stand out for the World Trade Center in terms of breaking through that saturated market of webinars? Do you want me to rephrase that or?
No. I'm just seeing if someone else wants to talk, but I'll answer it. So the idea is that the World Trade Center, their main advantage, even in a pre-pandemic world, was their reputation. So they were a nonprofit organization. They have connections to the government, things that other companies, other colleges, maybe they don't have. And they have a customer base already that's quite loyal. So that's the reason that the World Trade Center has an advantage over other free webinars. People don't really go to those if they don't know who's hosting them. You know, you can see advertisements online of join this free webinar or join us in this conversation today. But no one really clicks on those unless they're familiar with the hosts, they're familiar with, they get a formal invitation. And that's what memberships offer. Memberships offer you a network of people who are interested in your webinars already, so it's not just, oh, we're gonna, join because we think it's a waste of, it's not a waste of time. These people will know that they're going to talk with a group of people who know them personally and who are willing to give them things that they're already looking for. So having that network of people and having that membership system really helps people be engaged with us compared to other people who don't really have that, base market.
Great, thank you.
Just curious, in your preparation for this, did you discuss as the membership in the group that you'd be targeting, so that the customers of the World Trade Center, a specific topic or problem that you would want to try to help solve for our members?
So like an idea for, a webinar, like a topic for?
Yeah, so something that would maybe get the attention of the members. So if you're starting to have, if you implement a program, what specific problems coming out of the pandemic or in general would you, maybe hold some of these webinars on, or what would you be trying to solve?
Mm-hmm. Well, like I had listed before, give me a second, let me get to that slide. We have here, oh, I'm sure you can see that. We have here some information on what people, like a survey that they sent out, asking people what they were most concerned about going online. So like I said, the big issue with people is they don't want to go online. So one idea could be helping them, give an educational webinar on how to do that. If the World Trade Center figures out how to do it themselves, they can teach other people how to do it more efficiently. But in general, any other type of, educational or consultation event that can help them with any of these problems. So, disrupted logistics, disrupted supply chains, e-commerce, helping people with social media, helping people with their marketing in this new environment where everything is a little more focused on digital workspaces, because not only are the companies needing to go virtual, also the customers, so you can help them connect with those customers that are looking for e-commerce, are looking for, fast response times, fast, deliveries, everything like that. And just, ideas for the future, how to grow and come out stronger because of the pandemic.
Thank you. Those are all the questions I had.
Yeah, I don't have any further questions, but I did want to commend you all on a great job on this presentation, and thank you for participating.
Thank you. Thank you so much for, taking the time to listen to us.
Absolutely. Nice job, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. Kenesha's team, great job. We will. You guys can sign off now, and we'll catch up with you later. I hope to have you back for the afternoon sessions.
Okay, thank you.
By 12:30, we'll send a note to let you guys know who the final teams are that are moving on to the final round at 1 o'clock. So look out in your emails by 12:30, and then, like Craig mentioned, we hope to see you later today.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Good morning, Damon College. Thanks for your participating in our competition. Thanks for your work that you put in so far. We're looking forward to your presentation. I'm Craig Turner, President of World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara. This is our third annual case competition. It is our first virtual case competition. So we appreciate any additional steps that you had to take to be able to present in this environment. So thank you for being here. We're looking forward to your presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Rashika Ambu, who's our communications director. You've been getting emails from her. She's going to go over logistics and what you can expect for the next 20-25 minutes. And then we're going to have the judges do a quick introduction of themselves, and you'll be on your way. So Ashika.
All right, welcome everyone. So as you guys should know from the rules, you have 10 minutes to give your pitch. Once your slides are up and you begin speaking, that is when your 10 minutes starts. And then when you have 1 minute left, I'll give you a little warning here. So what we're gonna do is only your videos will be on, the judges and everyone else will have our videos off while you present. When I give my little 1 minute warning, my video will come back on so you can see my fancy little yellow envelope here so you know you have a minute left. And then after your 10 minutes is up, there will be 10 minutes for the judges to pose questions to you. And then the same thing. So the judges will turn their videos back on when they pose their questions to you. And then when there's about a minute left in that Q&A portion, I'll show my nice fancy yellow envelope again so that you know where you are with time so that you can wrap up. And that'll be it. And then after that, we will let you guys know the final scores at 12:30 once we're done here. So you guys have any questions?
Nope.
About logistics? Okay, if you want to start setting up your presentation to share.
Yeah. Marcos, can you actually share the slides for me?
Yes, let me take a look.
Thank you. Or just share the screen.
Okay.
And then we'll go the same order we went last time. Lauren, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining today. I appreciate you guys taking the time, and I'm looking forward to seeing the presentation. I work in international trade finance at M&T Bank, and I've been a member of the World Trade Center here for a number of years. Looking forward to seeing what you've prepared for us.
Okay, so shall we start?
Just we'll introduce our other two judges, and then you can get going. Sorry.
Hi, yes, I'm excited to see your presentation today. I'm Crystal Eden, Engagement Manager with the World Trade Centers Association. Looking forward to today.
Hi guys, Rob Clark. I work for Rich Products in Buffalo as Director of Commodities and Global Procurement. Good luck today. Looking forward to this.
Thank you.
And you guys can take it from there.
Okay.
Okay, so
Go ahead, Hilario.
okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Hilario, and today we are going to do our presentation on the World Trade Buffalo Niagara. As a signal of diversity, we have people from basically everywhere. We have people from Spain, Chris is from the US, our professor is from Germany, and also David is from the UK. So Chris is going to start.
Okay. Go with the, yep. So World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara's customer base is a mass market catering to businesses of all sizes around the globe. The customers that consult with some of these services include global and US economic risk analysis, global strategic planning, mergers and acquisitions, funding and investment attraction, and more. Another customer segment that World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara offers is memberships. These memberships are not only a good resource to clients, but it's a great source of revenue for World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara. Members have access to business connections, which allows access to contacts and resources to help grow an international business. They also have access to discounts that help save money on signature events, educational programs, accommodation, and translation. There are many more perks that members have access to as well. And there are various levels of memberships that offer more services depending on which membership the customers select. Next slide.
So another important point to talk about is value proposition. The Their goal is to provide an individualized service in order to provide each customer what they need. Accurate and immediate information through examinations and referrals, since they want to be efficient and effective at the same time. High performance, even unexpected situations come up. And a great example is COVID-19, which changed pretty much everything. And they have to adapt to that particular situation. And finally, accessibility and performance in order to provide what customers need, when they need, and how they need it. In order to make that happen, they should follow an agile strategy in the foreseeable future, being fast in accommodating unique customer demand.
When looking at the key resources, it is important to say that in the business model, there's a few main tools that we take into account. The key inputs and assets that the company relies on to run efficiently are Canvas. It is, to put it in another way, what you require. In this case, you can take a look at plant and equipment, building, employees, payrolls, intellectual property, computer software, knowledge, political connections. After that, we take a look at the cost of the structure, and there are two options. The business can be driven in a value-driven or cost-driven. In this case, it's value-driven, which means that they create value out of their programs that they are offering. And the key resources price is computer software, expert knowledge, and political connections. And the key activities that they are gonna need to do in order to deliver the value is give a great value and a great product to the customer. Therefore, developing activities and creating meetings will also increase the value of these programs.
So for the channels, World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara is aware that before the pandemic, events and dinners for face-to-face networking produced a majority of the revenue. This became a pressing issue when the pandemic hit, causing two of the most important events to cancel: the annual World Trade Celebration and the spring session for World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara's Trade Accelerator Program, or TAP. The evaluation process began to find alternative ways to have meetings without face-to-face interaction. After the shutdown, World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara had to evaluate how to continue these meetings, and Zoom became a viable resource to accomplish this. World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara was able to deliver their products, services, and meetings through Zoom in a cost-effective way. But the revenue from the Zoom meetings was not as much as the revenue coming from the face-to-face meetings. But using remote options is a sustainable way to communicate for the current climate and for the future.
So when talking about the pricing model that we want to achieve long-term goals, the pricing model we chose was a pricing package. And that's because when we were looking at your website, actually, we saw that the memberships were listed, and going through them, we saw the 10,000 package, the 2,000 package, and we thought that was a fantastic model. So some of the notes on the slide is why the pricing model is the best for WTCBN. We spent time thinking about the long-term goals, and we identified a few. Firstly, to help companies take advantage of foreign trade opportunities, to help companies find success beyond their domestic markets. There's also different types of package pricing options, such as brand packaging, template customization, consulting workshops, and day rates. And WTCBN website provides different memberships, as I mentioned, and we felt this, again, would be best for WTCBN to achieve their long-term goals. And they already use this method, so there's nothing for them to have to change or adopt, and they can continue to flourish. When looking at the possible changes that could impact future growth, firstly, we have to mention COVID. We all understand how that has affected the global market and will continue to do so. This then has a direct impact on the next point, which we thought of, which is the shift in market labor. Thoughts from this also include the supply chain, and digital innovations have also increasingly have increased hugely because of like working from home and how we're communicating right now over Zoom. The rise also of micro national links to global trade provides a lot of homegrown businesses, and they've found opportunities, and because imports haven't been coming into the country. This also linked with the change in demands, as, for example, shops found people hoarding and wanting to buy so many products that that it really became a problem. And again, that change in demand really came from COVID.
All right, thank you.
That's the end of our presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for the presentation. Great job. Good work on this. I had a question circling back on the pricing proposals. I wanted to make sure that I understood. You guys are recommending that we stick with the package pricing because that.
Yes. We read through it straight away, and we were looking into different pricing models, and the one that you have right now really it fits what you want to achieve. Because of how, you know, it offers, you create a family, you know, the membership, you offer more than just, it's not just a one-time deal, you know, you are part of something for a year, you really build a relationship, and you would continue, and you'll see the benefits of that year after year after year. It's not just you can be here for a month. Yeah, and again, you can trial for a week, you can trial for a couple of weeks. If you've got a small business, there's ways to build and grow through your memberships, which we like. So you can progress through. You know, I could start a business today and think, right, I've got a small capital, I need a little bit of help, and then with that, keep growing. So yeah, that's really why I took a little bit more in depth.
Great, thank you.
I had a similar question actually, and first of all, great job, guys. Nice presentation. Just to follow up on that, maybe I read it wrong, but I thought on that slide, if you go back to that, you mentioned the package pricing, but then I thought there was a comment that said it puts our needs, the World Trade Center needs, ahead of the needs of the customer. So I kind of read that as maybe you were in disagreement with the package pricing, but could you just clarify that?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch the end of that question.
Sure. So again, I may have read this wrong, but I thought the interpretation of the package pricing was that it put the World Trade Center needs ahead of the customer. Is that a positive thing? Are you calling that out as a positive, or? So it was like the second bullet underneath the heading, or the first bullet underneath the heading of package pricing.
Yeah, so that's talking about WTCBN being, again, part of a family. So, you know, the customer then wants to become you're not just a customer, you want to become part of the membership, if that makes sense.
Okay, so they're them becoming part of the pricing then.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay, thank you. And
sorry if I worded it a bit weird.
No worries, and that's why I wanted to clarify. I was probably
thank you.
And then you followed up with some of the different interests that the customers are potentially facing on your last slide there. Was there any one in particular that you saw as maybe, you know, you would lead with, or maybe focus in on more so than the others, as would be, you know, if the World Trade Center were to focus on one of those being a primary, you know, either revenue generator or program generator?
I can take this one, David. Yeah, I think the changes of COVID really put a halt on not just World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara, but the whole world, really. Because earlier I mentioned that the face-to-face meetings were a huge revenue source of WTCBN, and without those meetings, it's a lot harder to conduct business and to make connections and do that networking. So I think to focus on how WTCBN can continue with these meetings in a remote source, I think that's probably one of the most important things that WTCBN should focus on.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Rob covered my questions. Perfect. Thank you. No,
Sure.
great job, though, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So thank you very much for hosting us.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation today. Ashika, you want to fill them in what to expect next?
As we mentioned before, by 12:30 at the latest, this is between 12:15 and 12:30, we'll be sending an email noting which teams will be moving on to the final round. And then whether you make it or not, we hope you are able to join us to participate in the final round at 1 p.m. and the keynote presentation and announcement of our finalists for the competition overall at 2 p.m.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you
everybody.
very much.
Take care now.
Thank you for your time. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Excellent. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Thanks for the, as I mentioned, this is our first time doing it virtually. So it's our third competition, and you guys were finalists in last year's, as our first one doing it virtually. So we appreciate you being here, but we also appreciate the extra work that it puts into creating a virtual presentation. I'm Craig Turner, President of World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara. I'm just welcoming you. I'm going to turn you over to Ashika Ambu, who is our Director of Communications. She's going to walk you through logistics and what you can expect the next 20 to 25 minutes. And then we'll have each of the judges just give a quick introduction of themselves and their organization they represent. And then we will turn it over to you, and you can run with your presentation, which we're very much looking forward to. So Ashika.
All right, thank you, Craig, and welcome everyone. So I'm just going to quickly go over logistics in terms of how this will run. So we're going to have you run your presentation from your end, if that's okay, if you've designated a team member for that. I'm seeing nod, so we're good on that. So you'll have 10 minutes to give your pitch. Once we see the presentation and you begin to speak, that is when the clock will start for your 10 minutes. And then when you have a 1 minute remaining, I'm going to flash this little envelope. So while you're presenting, everyone's videos will be off except for yours. While you give the presentation. So when you have that 1 minute remaining, I'll turn my video on so you can see my fancy yellow envelope here to know when you have a minute left. And then once your 10-minute presentation time is over, we'll switch over to our judges who will turn their videos on, and they will pose questions to you based on your presentation. So we'll have 10 minutes for them to pose questions to you, and you can answer them, and then that'll be it. And then we'll have you leave, and then we'll have our judges deliberate, and then at 12:30 we will send an email to you to let you know which teams will be moving on to the final round.
All right, sounds good.
So Brigitte, you wanna just do a quick introduction?
Sure. So I'm Brigitte, and I'm the Executive Director of Montana World Trade Center. We're based in Missoula, Montana. Hi.
Hey.
Ready for me? I'm Lee Smout. I'm president of the World Trade Center Toronto. We actually have a trade accelerator program that we run in Niagara and as well as across Canada, but we partner with Craig and team in Niagara. So really great to see you folks. I'm looking forward to this.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Joe?
Joe Birdie with Speed Global Services. We're a transportation and warehousing company here in Buffalo, New York. We operate about 1.5 million square feet in between Buffalo, St. Catharines, Ontario, and Newark, New Jersey. Been here for about 75 years. And to my left, I'll let him introduce himself.
Joey Casula, Director of International Business and Trade for us here. So I guess we cover all aspects of the supply chain.
Thanks to all of you, and a special note, we appreciate Brigitte and Lee being here, as coming from our partner organizations in the World Trade Centers organization. given the topic that you now have in front of you, everything you're going to say to us is relevant to them as well too. So Niagara College, we'll let you go ahead, take it from here.
Sounds great.
Alrighty, so let's start the share here. So
have to go to the start there.
Yep. Where's the... Okay, so is the screen good here?
Yep, that's the right view.
Looks good.
Okay. So at this point, I'm gonna pass it on to Heather. I'll leave it to her to move forward for us here.
Get started. A changing business environment has presented many new challenges. Good morning, esteemed judges. On behalf of Niagara College, Justin, Greg, Adam, and myself are here to discuss with you the World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara's post-pandemic challenge and how the creation of a new business model will better serve manufacturer and trade service providers today and into the future. On the agenda today, we are going to discuss the problem, review the internal and external analysis of the World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara, look at the factors impacting future growth, discuss the new normal, review how we can increase revenues, go through our recommendations, and lastly, discuss our implementation. Adam, take it away.
Perfect. Thanks, Heather. So we identified the primary problem as a need to create a new business model for the World Trade Center of Buffalo and Niagara based on the new normal and through digital venues. That being said, we did identify three subsequent categories based on identifying key issues for manufacturers and global trade service providers, creating a visual presentation to move forward with, as well as how to get it paid for and how to increase our revenues. At this point, we're going to move on looking at the internal analysis. So essentially, we're working with the World Trade Center of Buffalo, Niagara, which offers consulting, education, events, networking, and visibility for manufacturers, service providers, international businesses within the Northern New York and Southern Ontario region. And basically, the payment plan is set up on different membership tiers, as well as pay-per-service options, mainly around consulting and things of that nature. At this point, I'm going to pass things on to Justin to talk about our SWOT analysis.
All right, thank you, Adam. So upon more detailed research here, the World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara has a well-established network and expertise that can be shifted towards a digital platform. The main obstacle is that our competitors may have already established this said digital infrastructure. So upon a few more research over here, a survey made by the National Association of Manufacturers, they expect that 80% manufacturers will face financial impacts due to closures. Now, politically, the border will remain a challenge for manufacturers and service providers. However, the trending shift to the e-commerce is massive and which may alleviate the necessity of physical businesses for now. So at this point, I want to pass it over to Heather, who will talk more about the factors impacting future growth.
Thanks, Justin. When we look at the factors impacting future growth, in the short term, there are many affected by COVID and due to government regulations. This includes the shift from personal to virtual interactions, the border closures, and import and export restrictions. When looking at long term, many of those are technology related, and they include a shift from product to service provision, a limitation on trade shows, and it shows a shift for information delivery systems and digital functions. But we do find that the greatest factor in this situation is an increase in e-commerce. We'll hand it off to Adam now, who will go into that a little bit deeper.
Perfect. Thanks, Heather. So I think it's good to talk about some of the e-commerce growth statistics. So that being said, in the year 2020, the US retail e-commerce sales increased by 44% over the year. Now, that being said, in the long term, when it comes to business e-commerce sales, it's looking to equate to about 17% of total business-to-business sales are going to be done through e-commerce channels by 2023, and 41% of total business-to-business sales by 2051. Now, that being said, a lot of this is due to a paradigm shift from personal to virtual interactions, mainly due to COVID. And that being said, borders will reopen in time, but there's likely still going to be a stigma around mass events. So it might make traditional trade shows a little bit more difficult and secure the longevity of e-commerce applications. At this point, I'm going to pass it on to Greg to talk about the new normal.
Thanks, Adam. So the World Trade Center's members have many challenges ahead of them as e-commerce becomes more prevalent. Data needs to be involved in the decision-making process in every aspect of the business. Virtual networking and video conferencing is likely to stick around long after COVID. Digital marketing channels like social media are something that businesses can no longer afford to neglect. And now we'll be moving into how the World Trade Center can provide greater values to its members and the local businesses by offering them data and analytics tools that they need. Integrating a solution like Size Up Local Business Insights into the World Trade Center website, along with reporting and analysis from the World Trade Center staff, can provide truly local insights and give small business access to big data that can help guide their decision-making. Leveraging the World Trade Center's existing networks and relationships and hosting virtual trade shows is a way they can fulfill their members' needs of digital networking and create a revenue stream for the World Trade Center. Building a strong social media presence will be critical in the success of the World Trade Center in the future. So we've put together a video example of the type of content that the World Trade Center can use to promote their services on social media like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Resulted in a 44% increase in e-commerce. And because of this, World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara is expanding its services to better serve you and your business. We're now offering hyper-local data analytics and reporting as a service. Things like performance benchmarking, competitive intelligence, advertising analysis, and demographic analysis are all available. Log into your member account on our website and access the new World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara Data and Analytics service and get tailored reporting specific to your industry. And if you're not a member, don't worry, we have options for you to use the service as well. We're also hosting our first of many virtual trade shows. We've brought together some of the best vendors, buyers, and experts in the industry. Head on over to our website for information on tickets, and remember, our members get preferential pricing. Until next time, I'm Greg from the World Trade Center, Buffalo, Niagara. Thank you. So this is the type of easy to digest content that can grow awareness around the World Trade Center brand and ultimately grow its membership. So now I'll be handing it over to Adam for some specifics on virtual trade show revenues.
Perfect. Thanks, Greg. And as mentioned in the case, it's only a good idea if someone will pay for it. Now, that being said, we use that philosophy to tailor our pricing method here. Now, as a lot of us would know, traditional trade shows can cost upwards of $10,000 in total expenses to actually become a vendor and have a booth at them. And we wanted to position the pricing for virtual trade shows to be very advantageous and cost effective. Now, this being said, we decided to go with a vendor fee of our actual members of $250 and a non-member fee for vendors at $1,000. Now, this price is actually built onto our membership tiers, whereas for the manufacturing membership, it costs $750. And at this point, it makes sense for non-members to simply become a member and become a vendor, which solidifies a long-term relationship. On the attendance side of things, we found through researching many large different trade shows that are offering virtual services right now, that the average cost for an attendee is about $20. And again, we wanted to build in an incentive to actually become a member where they can basically attend for free. Now, as I mentioned before, we will go over these numbers more if you'd like in the question period, but the potential revenue per trade show is roughly between $32,000 and $52,000. Whereas if we offer more trade shows, maybe specific to certain industries, there's obviously opportunities for future growth as well. At this point, I'm going to pass things over to Justin to talk about the analytics side of things.
All right, thank you so much, Adam. So our platform would allow browsers to go through our webpage, but we'll ask for a subscription if they'd like to go deeper into an article. Now, this pricing model is based off of our Size Up service, which includes all of our data analytics service. This service would be included to champion membership holders and higher. For those with existing membership, they may add the service at $30 monthly or $300 yearly, and non-members at $60 monthly and $600 yearly. For both members and non-members who are trying the service for the first time, we can offer a trial period of 30 days with a purchase of 1 month or their money back guarantee. To gain more business, we would incorporate a referral program in the lines of a year free membership for every 10 referred and subscribed business. Now, at this point, I'd like to pass it to Greg, who will talk a little bit more about what we would recommend to the World Trade Center.
Thank you. So our recommendation is for the World Trade Center to offer local data and analytic content to its members as an extra service and facilitate the needs of networking by hosting virtual trade shows. And the final and most important piece of our recommendation is that the World Trade Center should focus its marketing efforts on building a social media presence that can drive online traffic to its website and lead to more growth in memberships. Now I'll be passing it on to Heather for our implementation schedule.
To roll it out in an 11-week program. Since we've already engaged with the stakeholders, we can go ahead now and define some priorities and outline the new services we need to provide. We can establish a new business model and a new pricing strategy, designing these services related to member versus non-member rates. They can implement the service provision and provide training for the new services and roll out the services, which will actually coordinate with the trade show organization to be able to utilize that information to the members. They will also post some virtual ads and include some online content for the social media. And the end of the implementation will end with the rollout of the trade show, the first trade show. If you have any questions, we would be delighted to answer them, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys. I guess I wasn't sure if Craig was going to come on and lead this, but maybe we can just jump in. Really interesting stuff, nicely presented. Thanks for this. It might just be that you had sort of a limited time to get to all of these great points you're making, and so I understand how that had to be rushed through it. And it could be that I missed something too. But I'm just trying to make a connection between the idea of the trade show and the other services, the data analytics and that kind of thing. Is this two different programs, or are they somehow part of the same thing? Because I was trying to get an aspect of the pricing relative to that.
Yeah, so they would be two separate programs that they could offer. So the data service would be like an ongoing membership that they can do, and then the trade shows are just events whenever it's appropriate to do them.
Okay, so these fees that you're seeing here would be kind of that data, the other analysis part of things.
Yeah, so we have that like a monthly subscription.
Okay, and have you given thought to what that total value of those fees and so on are to World Trade Center, and how that relates to being able to afford to, put resources on to run this, whether it's staff or what have you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, regarding the virtual trade shows and conferences and those things of that nature, we'd be looking at the higher tier of the Skype membership, which is going to come out to about 2,700 Canadian dollars a year. And you'll also need the addition to it, which is for the large group sizes, which is another $804 per year. So in total for the Skype opportunity, you're looking at $3,504 Canadian per year, which actually on the low end of this number down here, the 32,000 to 52,000, that at the low end at 32,000, that equates to about 10.95% of that total revenue, whereas on the higher end, it equates to 6.74%. Now, that being said, the really nice thing about virtual trade shows is that it really limits the amount of resources you'll have to put in yourself, as when it comes to the actual vendors' opportunities, they're going to have their own virtual booth set up. You'll mainly just need one or two facilitators to help operate it. But a beautiful thing about Zoom is that you can actually create breakout rooms, and you can have breakout rooms per vendor where attendees can come in and pop into the different vendor rooms, and the manufacturers or the members who are actually hosting these vendor booths basically have the ability to set up in their own workshop or their own showroom and use that as their vendor space.
Great. And so just a high level of the number of resources you think this would be for the year? How many resources this would support in order to run it?
Well, that being said, so when we were looking at looking into the amount of trade shows and how many people attend, on the lower end, you can have 50 attendees, to higher ends like the ones in say Cater Source, which is in Las Vegas usually. They can have upwards to 50,000 people attend over a weekend. The numbers that we built were based off between 100 to 1,000 attendees, and we use that because that's what we're able to use within the large group size of Skype, and it's a little bit easier to manage as far as your facilitators to actually drop people into these various breakout rooms.
Yeah, so that's great. Sorry, and I do want to defer to my other judges, but I did wonder how many resources you think, like numbers of staff, would be available from this program to cover the costs. Would cover how many staff essentially?
Yeah, of course. So I would assume that, well, we assume that basically these trade shows could either be over a day or over a weekend, as most trade shows typically will be over a couple-day period. And most likely you're going to need about 2 to 3 employees to operate them over those days. Now, that being said, moving up to them, you will have to do social media advertising and connect to your World Trade Center member lists, your internal lists, to actually start advertising it. But once that's set up and once you have the facilitators in place, most of the actual work as far as organizing the virtual booths is more in the hands of the actual vendors themselves. So I would say about 2 to 3 employees is roundabout answer to that question.
Thank you. Thank you.
And just to add to that, it would be pretty similar to how everything is set up today as far as on the back end, the staff that would be involved.
I see. Thank you. Good.
I have a follow-up question on the trade show side. Sorry, I with the screen here, I can only see who's talking, so I can't see if any of my other colleagues want to jump in. But so why will people come to this virtual trade show versus the myriad other choices that exist out there? It's been my experience that people, gravitate to those highly recognizable, well-established, industry-specific trade shows. So why will you be able to draw people into this virtual trade show?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess I'll start on the answer to that one. The one thing is that you would want to tailor it to the region itself, which is going to be very attractive to people operating in Northern New York or Southern Ontario. So that's where you would begin with, and then using the World Trade Center's current internal list of members and leads, you can basically create traction and leads through that way. But also through marketing as well would be very good for the local area. But cost is definitely going to be one of the biggest things. So when it comes to traditional costs of these trade shows, as a lot of vendors would know, is that they can be quite expensive. If you're going to one down in Vegas or California, and you have traveling expenses, everything like that, it could be upwards to $50,000 to attend a trade show as a vendor. Whereas at a pricing of $250 as a member, that's very advantageous, and it gives you a venue to get in front of your potential customers and network in that sense for a low fee, but also you get that exposure as well.
I have other questions, but they're on the digital thing, and maybe the other gentleman might have a couple questions for you.
Yeah, we'll jump in. With the decision to go towards a virtual trade show, have you did any research into the fact of performance of trade shows, in-person trade shows lately, the decline of attendance?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question, and I actually have some first case experience with that as well with my own work. We typically go to trade shows every year. One thing is that the actual number of people attending trade shows this past year and projected for the next year is at almost an all-time low, whereas a lot of these major vendors or organizations are shifting to the virtual aspect of things. Now, there is some slow traction at the beginning, but really that's the best option, as with the new regulations in the COVID pandemic right now, it's very difficult to entice people to make a trip across borders or even across states or provinces to go attend these trade shows, especially when there's regulations in place where once you return home, you have to do a 2-week quarantine, or there's different factors to consider in that sense.
Okay. Adam, you also mentioned that you had experience with it yourself. Most people who attend trade shows realize that other than the classes and the exhibit hall, a lot of benefit in my experience comes from the trade shows between 9 and midnight. Do you have any approach to how to get the cross-talking, people communicating with their own peers compared to just, World Trade Center competitors? I mean, some of the best relationships of my competition is met and formed at these trade shows, and they are in the same industry but at a different location, different state, but we help each other when we need to.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and I definitely agree. It's usually kind of the after hours where people really start to mingle and become a little bit more social that way. It moves from kind of more of a formal demonstration to areas where you're actually able to communicate a little bit, more loosely, and that's where those relationships will develop. Now, that being said, The trade show is really I would say the tip of the iceberg, whereas with virtual conferencing and things like that, you can have these breakout rooms, which allows people to mingle in that sense. There might not be the exact same outcome as if you were in person, because it is a little bit different over Zoom or over virtual communications, because it's something we're all kind of getting used to within this past year. But certainly with Zoom, there's the nice thing about the virtual breakout rooms. So at the end of the day, you can create either the training seminars where you'll have basic public speakers come in, but then you can open it up to almost a conference area where people are able to mingle in certain breakout rooms as well. You can set it to different categories or industries, and then they can operate in that way.
Okay, and one last question, I'll let the other colleagues move on, is you're leaning on the person in World Trade Center of Buffalo to know and understand how to organize all this, and kind of as Lee was questioning, the amount of manpower needed to know Zoom that well. You know, it's different generations are computer savvy, so what's the cost to bring in? Or did you look into that capabilities? No disrespect against Craig, I'm just, you know, throwing it that way of how you're going to get to there. And when you're showing profit, you know, in revenue, what's the cost? Kind of what Lee was reaching out to is to run it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I might leave it to Heather eventually to talk about the implementation of things, because it does mention in here that we do have the 3 to 4 week period of training our employees on these new services. And that is a very, I guess you can say, liberal approach, because 4 weeks is quite a long time to learn how to use Zoom. You know, I don't want to, you know, put that off the wrong way, but, you know, that is a good amount of time to get used to using Zoom. That being said, certainly there will be time to incorporate it, but the nice thing about this operation is that you can use it for your consulting services, your training seminars, and a lot of the different functions of the business already, whereas you might have taken a bit of a hit over the past year without having the in-person communications. So it's something that can be rolled out to a bevy of the services that World Trade Center offers, but there certainly will be a bit of a training period there. I'm not sure if there might.
And also with Zoom or any third-party thing where you're going to run a virtual event, whether it's Microsoft Teams or any of it, they do have training and everything available on their websites for people to use it. And also YouTube is a great resource. I've taught myself tons of computer-related things through that. So it's not incredibly complicated, as long as you just kind of have an idea of where to look for the resources, but they are out there to really explain everything in depth and help you to do it.
Okay, we're at time.
Oh, I had another question.
That mean we can't ask any questions, or we're done?
We're done with questions. We're past our time limit. So
well, thank you. Thanks, guys and gal.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks very much, folks.
Thank you. Great presentation.
Yeah, good job. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So
All right, thank you.
Like I mentioned before, by 12:30 we'll be announcing who moves on to the next round.